And we are heading into the interview segment tonight. I am joined by a former member of County Assembly, Kiambu, and he was also the second speaker of that particular assembly when it comes to matters legislation. He understands very well, and he has also done so much. He will be telling us. This is in terms of law and legal matters, in terms of moderation. You also deal with matters human rights. But thank you very much, Gathii Irungu. You said it's Gathii.
Yes, Gathii. Gathii.
All right.
Yes.
Meaning?
It's a Kikuyu word, basically meaning the traditional medicine, or alternatively going. So as you go, somebody who walks very fast, it's called Gathii. Basically, right. Yes.
And then there is the one with the double E at the end.
Yes, basically the double E connotes something about age.
All right.
Gathii, you know, you're old.
All right.
Yes.
Welcome to the program.
Yeah, thank you.
For those who know you, they've been following you from 2013 or even way before that. But for those who do not know you, who is Irungu Gathii?
Basically, I'm a commoner. I usually call myself a commoner from Kiambu County. I've been a human rights lawyer since I was admitted to the university. And I've been involved in politics. For Dasili, we were there. PNU, we were there. TNA, we were there. Jubilee, we were there. So I've also been involved in politics and then charitable work. And I'm a community leader, basically. So we have various laws concerning the community. And I'm very passionate about human rights. Instead of going to any other branch of law, I opted after university to go basically to the human rights side. And that is where now we were able now to interact with the constitutional issues. I was part and parcel of the fight against the dictatorship and also making of the new constitution. So I'm very passionate about devolution. And for now, I'm a consultant in devolution.
All right.
Yes.
And talking of devolution and the constitution, which of course you understand very well, there are two things. There is the Punguza Mizigo bill, which got some setback in the High Court today.
Yes.
And there is also matters to do with monies that are supposed to go to the counties. The National Assembly passing a bill of 316 billion shillings. Of course, it brought some acrimony. But before we go to matters devolution, our court has been to some county assemblies, and today was in Nairobi when a ruling was being read out by the High Court, in the High Court.
I've not interrogated the ruling, but basically, I have no problem with the change of the constitution because that experience of so many years, because we are talking about 9 years also, we know the gaps now. Because even when we are passing the constitution, majority of people, even in support, were saying 80% is good, 20% will make it as we move on, but pass the constitution. I have no problem with that, but we have to appreciate that this constitution now has been implemented for some years. So we need to look at it. That's one of it. But then there must be consensus because majority of Wanjiko feels that there is a huge government. And that is a question out there, not only in Kenya, but even in America. You see Republicans talk about Britain, conservatives, they talk of lean government. Because why do we have so many structures, basically? Why do we have so many support systems in political leadership? While we need, we are a developing country, we need more money channeled towards development. So I have no problem with that. Pungua Mzigo, there is even Punda Imechoka, there is the BBI. But all of us must sit as a nation because we cannot have a referendum each and every day. So we have to sit down and see where did our constitution go wrong. One of it is when we were doing this, and I'm very passionate about the fight, the many people who died trying to get this constitution. There were so many people. What we can say is, when we look now at the constitution, we can see that it is very progressive. But let's have consensus about what do we need to change. And you see, between the Wanjiku and the political class, there is a disconnect. Because the political class are talking about enhanced seats for almost everybody, tribal political kingpins. Wanjiku wants a reduced government.
But you see, when both sides go out there to talk to Wanjiku, they speak according to what they feel is going to help them politically. But when Akuru Aukod comes up with something that he feels is good for the country, we have seen a number of leaders coming out, especially from the opposition side, saying that this is not good. Yes, you mean very well for the country, but these proposals are too radical. We don't need them. We need to be having an all-inclusive government. What's up with that? What's your observation when it comes to this? Because at the end of the day, we need to agree on one thing as a country.
You see, the biggest problem we have is that majority of us Wanjiku follow what our leaders do and want. And that is one of the reasons why, if you remember when we were conducting a referendum about the constitution, many people are saying, our boss, by then Honorable Lyra and Honorable Kibaki, they were saying, tumesomewa, so we don't need to read it. And they are supportive of it. One of it is that we have, as Wanjiku, to take up our Lord. And our Lord is to make sure that we are living in a better place, our children will meet a better place. And that is now why the reason why there is a major disconnect between what the Wanjiku wants and what the political class wants. Right. And I have no problem, because one of the issues, because maybe this luring is a temporary setback, you need to understand that. Maybe at the end of it, if 24 counties pass that registration, that bill, it is going to go to Wanjiku, whether Parliament wants or does not want.
Of course, we know what Parliament wants. But moving on, the division of revenue bill, it has been a talk in town for quite some time right now. And today, governors did go to Parliament. And there were some discussions, of course, sources saying that there was a breakthrough. But there has been that talk that probably the national government or the central government is not really committed to empowering the counties by giving to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. But 316 billion, isn't this enough to deliver services in the counties?
One of the issues that we have heard about devolution is how to divide money. And it's not a question about here, it's a question all over. Even in America about states, even in Britain about Scotland or English. How do we divide this cake? Because it's not enough. One of the issues is that the Constitution said that you get 15% of the recent audited report. One of the issues is that it's not up to date. So if it was that % of last year, it would be a bit much more than what they are talking about, because we are talking about 3-4 years ago. That's one. The other thing is that the Constitution was very clear, because we did not want to give power to a certain, just certain organs, the presidency, the parliament, the judiciary. We tried to have checks and balances, and that is where now we came to have the governors. County and national governments are distinct, but they must cooperate. Okay. And one of the issues is that people must start talking, because for me, apart from now the corruption issues that are coming out now, devolved now to counties, the way to go in every country is to bring services and decision making down to the village.
Because the main concern right now is that those who have been put in charge to oversee matters in the counties, they are not doing their job. If you look at the wage bill in the counties, some counties are, up to 45%. whereas it's supposed to be 35%. The monies that are coming from the central government to the counties, most of it is being used to pay salaries. But we know that that is an argument that governors will always find ways of wiggling around. But in terms of amending the law, how do we ensure that there is a cap on expenditure, especially the wage bill in the county?
You know, the act is there. Firstly, we understand that counties came into being haphazardly. There were those issues about, like now Kiambu. It had so many municipalities, and the new county would have to take over the liabilities, assets, and human resources of the counties, of the different municipalities. One, that made the wage bill above. We may have, the transitional authority may have had maybe to do something radical so that the wage bill is not very huge. That's one. And then we politicized these positions of governors. Instead of governors coming to be managers, they came now as pure politicians.
Yes.
And I remember some of the governors just employing people in streets. He goes to a village and says, who has whatever, and then employs. We have now to come down, and we have to cap these. And there are so many ways, like retrenchment, because we cannot allow that money comes now from national government merely to pay.
Okay.
Even for you, as a human being, if your money coming as a salary is for your stomach, then how, like old age, how are you going to ever survive?
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And finally, briefly, we know what has been happening in Kiambu County.
Yes.
And you having been at the center
Yes.
of matters there, what do you make of the political situation there right now?
It's very saddening, because I have been very particular about saying that Kiambu is our business, because that's where we stay, that's where our children stay. We need now to focus. And I'm telling Wajiko, it is his time now to wake up. You steal our money, then you have a problem. Because we entrust you with our resources, and your work is to eat. You know, we need even to be a bit of moralistic.
No, but the court is here to decide whether...
no, I'm not talking about any specific person.
Guilty.
I'm not talking about any specific person. But wherever there is fire, smoke, rest assured there will be smoke, fire. And for me, and for Wajiko of Kiambu, there has been complaints, major complaints about development, which is not happening. And as we wait for whatever courts have to say, we see now the fight between now the deputy and the governor. It's a vicious, it will be very vicious.
It is coming out.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. I know there's a lot to talk about, but we are pressed for time.
Yes.
Irungu, thank you very much
I
for coming to the program tonight.
Yes.
And that's it for us for the interview, Engine Behind the Power.